What makes a good life? I mean, really, it's a question we've all asked ourselves, right? Philosophers and poets have been wrestling with it for centuries. But what if the answer wasn't in some old book? What if it's been hiding in the lives of real people, tracked for nearly 100 years?
Okay, so let's jump right in with a question for you. If you could make just one choice right now to set yourself up for a lifetime of health and happiness, what would it be? Just think about it for a second. What's the one thing you'd invest in? Now, if you're like most people, your mind probably went straight to something like making a ton of money or racking up achievements at work, maybe even becoming famous. I mean, we're constantly told that those are the keys to the good life. But it turns out the actual data tells a completely different and, frankly, a much more interesting story. The answer we're looking for comes from this really extraordinary source, the Harvard Study of Adult Development. And this isn't just some random poll. It is the longest study of its kind ever done, designed from the very beginning to find out what truly helps people thrive. And when we say long, we really mean it. This study has been running for over 85 years. It started back in 1938 with 724 young men, but it's since expanded to include their families. We're now talking about over 2,000 people across 3 generations. And of course, they've adapted over time, adding modern tools like DNA analysis and brain scans to get a complete picture of a human life. What's so amazing is how it started. They picked two radically different groups. On one hand, you had these privileged sophomores from Harvard, the guys everyone thought were set up for success. And on the other hand, boys from some of the most disadvantaged and troubled families in Boston. This incredible contrast gave the researchers a unique chance to see what really mattered for a good life, no matter where you started from. So, after 85 years of interviews, medical exams, brain scans, and endless questionnaires, what did they find? What was the secret that finally emerged from all of that data? After sifting through a literal mountain of information, one single factor stood out, head and shoulders above everything else, more than wealth, career, or social class, as the greatest predictor of a happy, healthy life. Just one. And here it is, the big secret. It wasn't money or fame, it was relationships. Good, warm, close relationships. The people who invested in connection with family, with friends, with their community, they were the ones who were happier, physically healthier, and who lived longer than anyone else. Simple as that. But that raises a huge question, right? How? How can something like a friendship or a partnership literally get inside your body and affect your physical health? Well, let's look at the actual biology to see how this works. So research suggests that about half of our happiness comes from our genetic set point, just our inborn temperament. About 10% is our current life situation, but that leaves this massive 40% chunk that is actually under our control. We can actively move the needle on our own well-being. So how do we influence that 40%? The science is pretty clear. The most powerful way is by managing stress. And it turns out our relationships are basically the most effective stress regulators nature has ever come up with. Think about it like this. Something stressful happens, a bad day at work, a worry about money. Your body instantly goes into fight or flight mode. Now, if you can go home and talk about it with someone you trust, you can literally feel your body calm down and go back to normal. But if you're all alone with that stress, your body can get stuck in that low-level, chronic fight or flight state. And that chronic state, it has real consequences. Loneliness and isolation lead to higher levels of stress hormones like cortisol and more chronic inflammation, which over time just wears away at your body's systems. On the flip side, warm, supportive connections act like a buffer. They help your body stay in balance and they protect your long-term health.
Okay, so we know the what and the why. Relationships are critical and they protect us from stress. So now let's talk about the how. How can we actively build and maintain what the researchers call social fitness?
One of the most profound and simple pieces of advice to come out of this whole study is just this: never worry alone. It's such a simple reminder that sharing our burdens doesn't just make us feel better emotionally, it's a critical act of biological regulation. So, this is a good moment for a quick personal check-in. Just take a look at your own social world for a second. Are your connections giving you the energy and support you really need? You can even ask yourself some simple questions. Do I have enough connection for me? Do I have people who I know without a doubt truly have my back? Do I have enough people just to have fun with? What about people who can help with practical stuff? And maybe most importantly, what am I contributing to my relationships? And remember, this is not a popularity contest. It's not about the number of friends you have, it's about the quality and the warmth of your close connections. The study found that even couples who argued a lot could still be healthy and happy as long as there was this deep bedrock of affection and respect underneath it all.
Now, the flip side is also true. A toxic relationship, one that's full of conflict and resentment, can be just as damaging to your physical health as being lonely. But, and this is the really hopeful part, good relationships in adulthood can actually help heal the wounds of a difficult childhood. They can change our expectations and prove that the world can be a safe and reliable place.
So, as we wrap this up, let's look at the ultimate lesson from this incredible 85-year journey into human life. What is the single biggest payoff of investing in our connections? It turns out the benefits go way beyond just our physical health. Good relationships don't just protect our bodies from the wear and tear of stress, they also protect our brains, especially as we get older. And this brings us to a final, really powerful finding. People in the study who felt they had a secure, reliable partner in their later years, they actually experienced slower brain decline. Their memories stayed sharper for longer. In stark contrast, the people who reported being lonely experienced a much more rapid brain decline. That same stress that wears down our bodies also wears down our brains. So the takeaway from 85 years of data is remarkably simple and incredibly profound. A good life isn't built on wealth or fame or even achievements. A good life is built with good relationships. And that leaves us with one final question, not for the researchers, but for you. Taking all this in, what's one relationship you're going to invest in today? Who will you reach out to? Because that is where the good life begins.